the old technique.
Broken glass everywhere. People just wanna smoke out. You wanna know what this is about? It's the realness of the universe fully coming out. Damage control's just another god. We learn over the years that it comes from the inside. Send a spiritual message to the universe. Divine Mother will always come first. With this collective vibration we can reach. No need for a pulpit, I'm not here to preach. No one is better than the other. We all have unique powers to discover. Open pathways to our spiritual forces. A lot of us are tuned and we know our sources. All you have to do is be yourself. Be authentic, be real, the own, well hell. Broken glass everywhere. People just wanna smoke out. 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 There's no other person greater than you. When you tap into your spirit, you'll know what to do. Heart chakra vibrates higher frequency. You do you, and I'll do me. That's the only way to be free. Not dwelling on your past repeatedly, saying it's all their fault. You're stuck in life like a pillar of salt. You better learn to move on, walk on, because the person that you're mad at's probably gone. Stop seeing yourself like a pawn. Be real with yourself, come on. While the world's on lockdown, reports sounding bleak. How do I stay calm? The old technique. Broken glass everywhere. People just wanna smoke out. Broken glass everywhere. People just wanna smoke out. Broken glass everywhere. People just wanna smoke out. Broken glass everywhere. People just wanna smoke out.
All right. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Hi, Priestess. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Are we awesome. I was making sure we could hear you clearly. All right. So welcome. I am so excited. Oh my God. I got High Priestess Ma'at and Makaru Aman in the house tonight, and I am super excited. So let me just take a breath and calm down. It is definitely to host you tonight and have this discussion about what is in your womb. And we are specifically talking to men. We want to know what is in the womb of the men. Maybe the men want to know what's in their womb. Do you have a womb? Do I have a womb? What do you mean womb? I'm a man. What are you talking about? And what are you women going to tell me? Well, this isn't just an interview with the High Priestess or two women that are going to sit up and talk to you about what's in your womb, fellas. This is an open discussion. We want to have a conversation tonight about what's in your womb. So I want to welcome High Priestess tonight. Welcome everyone here. Just want to take a moment and just honor you all coming and sharing your time with us on this evening, just for being here. Want to make sure if you are having any sound issues, please don't hesitate to let us know if you can't hear anything, we playing music, or we play a video, you can't see it, just let us know. But we are going to have a good time and we're going to have a great discussion tonight. So I am super, super, super excited. Um, First, let's just start out. I want to ask you all to make sure that you go and share this. We are live on Instagram, Facebook. We are live on YouTube. And just quick, I'm going to put these here just so that you know where to tell people. So, so all of these channels are live tonight. You can frequency, morals, holistic wellness, evolution. That's where you need to go. That's where you're going to get the information about what's in your womb. Wound Evolution is live tonight. So all of your channels, we want you to go and share with your friends and your family. Go run and grab your male friends. Go run and grab your uncles, husbands, brothers, cousins, sons, everybody. Go let them know we are live and we are about to have a conversation. So let's go do that first. Let's go and share this so that we can get some more people in here and get this conversation started. Okay. So I am going to because I want to properly introduce our speaker tonight, our guest, because she's going to speak and you are going to be blown away by the things. Give me one moment. This is a very new platform for me. Anybody that's on here that I invited, you already know. I'm going to just 100% with you. I am new to this, but I'm true to it too. I'm going to make sure. Some of you know her. I am going to introduce to some of you. Many of you are very well seasoned with this woman, as she is not new to this platform. Is not new to this platform of wellness, working with the wounds. High Priestess Ma'at is a brain balance, comedic and ometic. Omet. High Priestess is a brain balance, comedic and Olmec High Priestess. She's Yoruba initiated. She is the author of two books. We're going to talk about them both tonight. Two books, and they both are available. It's signed by her. Unwounded, Unlock Your Universal Uterus, and What is in Your Womb. She is trained and an experienced veteran in many healing modalities. However, she continued her expertise in providing evolutionary communication is her claim to fame. Now that's her bio. That you can read that on Amazon. But let me tell you what I know about her. She is an amazing mentor. She's an amazing teacher. She is the creator of the Way to Spell Word that you can find on YouTube. I mentioned her books, but she is all. Hold on, let me just play that. Here we go. She is also the mother of Mimic, the mother, perfect, the mother of Mimic, which is Melanated Immortals, an evolutionary change. She gave birth to this wonderful platform where people are able to come and really get to understand who they are, mind, body, and soul. And they also are able to be free in who they are. When they are exploring themselves and getting to know who they are, they are able to just express this right here. I want to go ahead and mention is an opportunity that she has given for somebody like myself to be able to express themselves. So she allowed me to host her, and I am a student. I am learning. I'm learning some things under her. I am taking her 13 Tones of Creation class. I am loving all of the things that I'm learning from her. I have her book. I'm into the book. Got with her first. Had to know her, had to get into her classes first before I start digging into her book. But when I tell you that she is a phenomenal teacher and the things that she is going to bring to us tonight, I am just, I want you to just prepare yourself for a treat. Um, she currently is teaching. Well, no, actually, these classes are available online. They're self taught. She has the woke courses, the woke womb evolution courses that are online courses that are available for you to teach. And those are available to you. You can go to melanatedfrequency.com or melanatedimmortals.com. Wombevolution.com is also one of her websites that you can go to and get these classes as well. But we have some new things coming down the pipe for that. We will have that website available to you later. So, with that said, a moment and make sure High Priestess is more than ready. She looks ready. Don't she look ready, y'all? I'm excited. So, everybody's in. You ready, High Priestess?
You know I'm ready. You know I'm ready.
You
So,
already. So I am going to just hush and yield the mic and allow take the floor.
all right. So, Hotep, everyone, and thank you so much for Holistic Wellness Worldwide for hosting me tonight. It is very exciting to be here and to be interviewed by my Kia. Uh, a little thing that we, kind of an inside joke for those of you who are a part of Mimic, you know what it means when we say we're kin twins, okay? So for those of you who don't know, that's fine, but I'm just so thrilled to be here, to be interviewed by my kin twin, and to this platform tonight where we ask the question about what's in your womb to the men. And so I think a great way to start this off is to let's just go to the basics. Okay. Let's just go ahead and get into it and go right to the basics, where let's just talk about intercourse. Okay. And why a man should even be interested in what's in your womb. Oh, before I start that, I do want to acknowledge the music that you heard coming in, the Ohm technique, and hopefully we'll hear a little bit more from this artist, MC Class. And he has given us the rights to showcase his music, and so that's one of our favorites. And if you want more information on that, you're gonna have to holler at us. Okay, so we'll make sure we have some information in the chat about this. About the music. If you're interested, just send us a text, or I'm saying put it in the chat, and then we'll make sure we get back to you. So, all right. So a great way to start this off is to just talk about the process of intercourse. Okay, just the basics and what really happens in that process, and we're going to talk about it from the male perspective. Okay, in or that what happens when that. So basically, when we are having intercourse, in most cases, we are not using intercourse to create and bring forth a life form. Okay. And so The seed that the male carries is the catalyst. It literally is um, cosmic intelligence. Okay. So it's not something to be taken lightly. It's not just sperm. There's information in that sperm. It has the DNA. Well, of course, we know that there are 23 chromosomes that come from the mother, and there's 23 chromosomes that come from the male. But it also contains all of what we are. Okay. It contains the thoughts, okay, that happens at ejaculation. Okay, so what happens at ejaculation? Okay, now if you are in a committed relationship, yeah, you might, you know how sometimes we just curse, right, when it, when it happens, right? I'm just saying, we all grown folks here, right? So we can say that. Okay, when it comes time for that, you know, you curse or whatever. But you are with a partner that you are committed with, so you also may be sending feelings and sensations and energies of love and commitment and togetherness, and how you just enjoy, you know, joy and ecstasy. Okay, so I see, I'm looking at the comments and I'm just cracking up. All right. And so that may happen. All right, now, but let's just say, let's go on the shadow side of this. All right, and maybe this is in our past or maybe in our present, when you are just ejaculating and giving your life force, because as we know, the male is the catalyst and has the seed. Okay, where are you putting that seed cosmically? Okay, the physical manifestation of the universe. Okay, and we're going to break these things down, and we have a special guest that's going to come on and really, 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 ooh, okay, I can't wait. But anyway, so when you are just, you know, let's say this is a jump off, and I know, you know, you know, I don't know the new terms. Okay, I'm gonna have to use the terms that I know. Right, but this is a jump off, this is a hit it and quit it type situation. You are literally taking the cosmic seed, which is sacred. Okay, just like the womb or the uterus is sacred, and it is a physical representation of the universe, and you are the depositing it into the universe, and you're saying, you know, I don't care, this is a jump off, or this is, you know, I'm done. Okay, so think about what you're telling the universe about your life force. You, as the men, you are the one that's giving it up. She's not giving it up, she's receiving, she's accepting, she's allowing. You're putting something into her, so you're giving it up. All right, you are literally giving up this. Okay, I already know who this is in the chat. Okay, you are giving it up. You are literally giving up your life force.
You
Okay,
already know. You
you
already
know,
know.
you already know who this is. Okay, but you're literally giving up your life force. So you're giving it up.
I can
She's not.
91.
Okay, she is receiving it. And so you have to think about who you are giving your life force to and why. And it's sacred. It's the cosmic seed. It is the cosmic catalyst. Okay. It can catalyze and bring gods and goddesses into this realm. All right. So when you tell the universe, I don't care, I'm done, get off me, go, leave, whatever. Okay. I'm just saying, if you follow that into what happens to your life force throughout your life, as you find yourself, you might find, you know, that might be fun in your 20s and 30s, and then in your 40s and 50s, you know, you might be the old dude at the club, right? Wondering why you know, you're not the one anymore. Right, because you've been telling the universe for a long time to get off of you, to move on, to go over there, okay, to do something different. Also, who is carrying around your seed? Everything that goes into the universe or the uterus, okay, we look to create from it. This is why they say, he said his feelings are hurt. Uh, this is why they say that women are so emotional. Okay, this is another reason, and we're not talking about what's in your womb as far as the women. I could go into that piece of it when we are receiving these the catalytic um, information or the life force from a male who is not necessarily dedicated to giving us information or something that we need. They're just in there for the physical form of it. Okay. And so we have to start thinking about things a little differently and really thinking about ourselves a little differently. Okay. We always hear about the woman being sacred, sacred. Shout out to Queen of Foods, sacred woman. That has definitely, she has pioneered that. And but we talk about the sacred womb. We talk about that. But how often do we hear about the sacred male? How often do we hear about how sacred your seed is? Okay, and how you should guard that. How you shouldn't just have anybody that you are giving it up to. Because again, you're giving it up. You're the one that's giving it up. You're the one that's out of life force when it's all over. Not her. Okay. She taking it in. And if she know what to do with it, okay, that's another thing. We ain't gonna even get into that. All right. Okay. So the men need to worry about
no, you
giving
can't
it up
give
to.
it all away. You can't give it all
No. Okay, so that's my introduction to this. Okay, so I want to just give it some time so we can speak some more. So I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
I say, yeah. And see, that was just the introduction. Or just introduction. So we want you to absolutely ask your questions and make sure that don't hold anything back. This is an open forum. As you see, she is ready to talk. Yes, she has high priestess in front of her name, but that's why she has high priestess in front of her name, because that's what tapping into divinity allows you to be able to do. We can talk to everyone as the beings and divine creations. You should be able to talk about everything because every aspect of us is sacred. So there's nothing about anything that we're discussing tonight that is not a part of nature and the natural way that we move throughout life. So high priest, what got everybody here tonight? What's in your wound? The men. So men have wounds. What wombs? I mean, we give birth. Men have wombs. Where is it? I have my own theory, but I didn't write a book. So
Okay, so I'm also laughing at the chat because our friend is in here with all his questions. So, um, so womb, if you look up, and this is something that my teachers, for the longest time, that they really, I'm not going to say they beat it into me, but they had me take a step back and look at the definition. A womb, okay? If you look it up in the dictionary, it is it has several definitions, but one of the definitions is it's a storage place for anything. Okay. And so a womb, your purse could be a womb. This room that we in, this is a womb. Okay. Anything that's a storage place. All right. So that's a very different thing than a uterus. A uterus, when you look up that definition, it is specific to being the development for a human fetus. Okay, and then if we want to expand the medical definition, a developing entity, cosmic entities, physical form. All right, it's specific. So, does a male have a womb? Absolutely. It's called a prostate. Okay, now it is inactive in the sense of it cannot store it cannot host a being coming forth. But there are, and I know some cases of men who have issues in the prostate. Okay, and it may be, again, this is metaphysical. All right. Um, and so they can definitely store emotions or any type of information. And let me just break this down from what I learned. Okay, from learning a little bit about the anatomy. I'm not a doctor, but I have been mentored by one. Okay, and I have read medical documents. Every organ in the body has a sits on a neural net. Okay, and specifically the womb. Okay, or the uterus. All of the brain cells that go on down the spine, the uterus sits right on top of it. So this is why one of the reasons they say, hey, you have to be careful about what you're thinking, what you believe in. You want to make sure when a woman is pregnant that she is not, upset or whatever, because literally that neural net is the uterus is sitting on top of it. But so is the prostate. Okay, it's just not as active. Okay, and it may not be the same level of course, it's not the same level of, is that a word? Neuronal, okay, neuron activity, okay, that's going on in the prostate, but it still has the capability of transmitting and receiving information, thoughts. Okay, emotions, they're still there. They're still being transmitted to all of the organs in the body, okay, including the prostate. And so there are things that can be stored there. So it is a womb, okay. Now we can also talk about the play on words between womb and wound. All right, and so there are some of us just have wounds. Okay, we haven't upgraded yet to a universal uterus. And this is what we talk about in the book. The other thing I'd like to say about a womb, as far as a male is concerned, all right, there was a comedian who made a joke about, we come out of one and we spend the rest of our lives trying to get back in. Okay, so if you have access at any point in time, you have access to a womb. Okay, whether you're in a relationship or a uterus. Okay, whether you're in a relationship, you have a mother, you have a sister, you have a daughter, a close friend. Okay, you are constantly accessing wombs, and you don't necessarily have to be sexually connected to it. Okay, for that transference of information is, of course, the sexual connection is the most potent and the strongest of them. Okay, but you don't necessarily have to have that in order for you to be in order for this transmission to take place. All right. I was going to, and I'm pretty sure we're on the same we're on the same thought process here. I was going to suggest that maybe we show one of the videos of some of the men that have gone through either reading the book "What's in Your Womb" or gone through the womb evolution technique, and to see what they have to say. So just don't believe me, or whatever. And then again, I'm waiting. I'm sitting here waiting to bring in this special guest who's going to really just tie it down for us.
Okay, so we do. Hold on one moment. Let me get this in here.
But I've been checking out the womb evolution and it is mind blowing. It's almost really needed. Really, I think a lot of guys should check it out. So I'm enjoying it. I'm kind of sad that it's not going on. It's not going on right now. But it has helped me learn more about women and myself. It has definitely been a mind-opening experience, as well as mimicking all the other classes. So there it is. And yeah, you gotta take that, check it out. It is definitely worth every second. And I get mad when it's over. I mean, like, can I get some more? So that's my experience. I say peace.
Shay and class, that was the artist that was featured on our opening, and absolutely like this his testimony is divine, like are in those classes. High Priestess, what is your thoughts on what he had to say about coming into the classes and the men's eagerness to learn in there?
Yeah, so what he's speaking about is we have suspended them while we're doing our classes at Melanated Immortals through the spring, but we do something called the Divine Femininity Sessions. And what we say is men are always welcome. Okay, because we're not feminists. We are not here to separate the union, the special union between a male and a female, and especially in the melanin dominant communities where they want us to go this way. Okay, and we really need to come together. And so we always welcome the men in, and when they come they are locked in. So if you are interested in that, do we have the links to the books? And I just wanted to make sure, and actually I'll give you a link here where you can actually get some of the replays if you're interested of the womb evolution or the feminine divinity sessions that he's talking about. All right, so we definitely welcome that. Having a little bit of technical difficulties. Okay, and this is how we can get the books, and those are the ebooks. All right, and so it has those books have some of the information that we are talking about here this evening, and it gives you, it's going to give you a little bit more information than what we're speaking about here. So I'm going to turn it back over to you for some more questions, because I'll just keep going.
Still muted because I have it myself. I know I see the special guest. So I see that you're super excited now. Okay, so you talked about a storage place. You talked about the womb and it being a storage space. Can you elaborate on that as far as what are we storing, and where is it being stored for men? Because we know women, we talk about storing it in our gut, and but where are men storing it? Where's the place?
And the women that they're accessing, okay, because they're giving it up, they're storing it in the women. So if you are wondering why you keep attracting the same type of woman, she got attitude, she got the, you know what I'm saying, you know how they you know how it is, you always, and you say, hey, there's no women that do this and do that. Well, you, there's an energetic, you tethered yourself again. I said that's the universe that you're attract, that you are attaching to. That's the universe that you're putting your energy into, that you're giving it up to. All right. And so you are literally connecting yourself to, just like we do, just like we do. Okay. You are connecting yourself to that same type of energy. So where are they storing it? They're storing it in the women that they are accessing. And so then they keep attracting the same type of woman, because there is a uh, a connection there. There's just a, it's a cycle that we go in. One of the things that I say to men, and I am going to drop one thing. Let me do it. 242, just one, okay. Just a little something, okay. Since you're the one that's giving it up, okay. You know, you can talk to every cell that's in your body, every cell, including your sperm. Okay. And before you go into intercourse, determine what information you're going, look at it as, again, you are sacred as well, men. Okay. And so what you have to give is sacred. And if you think about yourself that way, you're not getting some, we are. Okay, we are getting some. I just want you to know that. All right. And so, what do you want to give us? What information do you want to put into the universe that you'd like to see cycle back around to you? Do you want, okay, you want to put in the universe us having, black women having attitudes and stuff? Okay, well, we got attitudes. All right. Do you want to put in the universe reciprocity and the balance of Ma'at, and everything that you want to be reciprocated into in your life? You want to be nurtured, you want to be respected, you want to be held up, okay, as a male. Then put that in the universe. Determine that before you just go out swinging. You know what I'm saying? And
True.
you know, I think 242, that this is really a great segue into our special guest, because he definitely, I know I can feel him. He's just sitting there like, oh my God, they gotta let me in on this. They gotta let me in. Give me turn my mic on. So we gonna,
all right, y'all. The cat out the bag. We are going to let our special guest in. Now let's see. All right. So I want to take a moment before he turned. Ah, there he is. I was going to introduce you, Baba. This is a treat, everybody. I don't know if you all look. He done took the camera away, so I am so not formal. This is Baba Wanita. Baba Wanit Kimmy Tahuti Shabazz. He is the wordsmith of Mimic. Okay, he is also the father, one of the founders of Mimic, and he is um, an amazing individual. I don't have his bio in front of me, and I'm formal in that way. But this man needs no introduction because when he begins to speak, you will understand what I have to say. I see our priestess. I know this is her God, and they do this thing. So let me go ahead and yield the mic to you, High Priestess, so you can have the privilege of letting everybody know about our special guest. I'm just excited that you're here on the Holistic Wellness platform. Welcome.
Yes, I just want to add a few little things also to what you said about Baba. Baba is a long-term veteran of the knowledge of law of time. And, he really has held his position for the melanin dominant population for us to receive this information. Part of why we're even here, I had already written What's in Your Womb, but Unwounded, the information that Baba was holding, that was holding the position when he brought that information in, and I started taking classes on at Jewish, that just spiraled into the book Unwounded, literally. So he had lots to do with that, as well as one of our other master teachers, Neb Taharka, and also Dr. Jewel Pookrum. So we definitely have to recognize them for being the catalyst to some of this information that we are speaking about here. Also, Baba is a high priest as well. He has many, many, many modalities, and he is the director of operations. Hopefully, I'm getting this right, for the radio station in it. So blessed to have him here, and I really, really wanted him to come on and speak to the brothers, because it's one thing for us to say it, it's another thing for one of my mentors and teachers to come in and speak on it. All right, so I yield the mic.
Wow, I mean, started to turn my camera off and my mic off, and just go back and just go on back into the quietude, and let y'all continue. Particularly when you're talking about seeing doubles. What I got 242 to the second power. So it's interesting to have to be immersed in a beautiful soliloquy of wind, right? And of course, having the honor. I want to say first, like Cash Hotep, Heptapu, and I'm really honored to be a part of this process, and I really am humbled. And I was talking about special guests. I said, "Wow, who else is going to be on?" I thought, I didn't know who they were speaking about when they said a special guest was going to be on, and I was a surprise guest. But I want to say this, it's most essentially important, and my aunt, and I say, of course, my Kia, it's an honor to have strong. Now, this is not a patronizing cliche, but we're talking about the strength of the feminine, supporting the idea around the all-inclusiveness of our sojourn, getting back into what the balance of Ma'at is about, because that's really what it's about. And Ma'at, you personify that just by virtue of your initiations as the high priest. And both of y'all are high priestesses, and you can't make that up in terms of the initiations and the rites of passage, and when you start doing divinations and you begin to see that, you realize that you actually incarnated. When we talk about Olmec Mayan cosmology, we're talking about the science that was left for us here in this region, for us not to feel that we were not lost, because sometimes we feel that we are so far away from home, which is the continent of Africa, that we think that we're here and astray, and think that we have nothing else that we can move to and look to. And then look what happens is we start doing explorations around those sacred tombs and sacred grounds and sacred pyramids on these shores. You find out that, hey, we're not really lost as we think we are. And I think we're more found than we are lost, and that our reason for being here is spectacular. So the idea of the masculine energy, and this is a stretch, because one of the things that happens with the patriarchal takeover and the male priests, time bandits that really are imposters, as I call them, who actually came along to submerge and summarily take away the energy fields of the feminine, do a whole host of things that we can talk about. And it's really, truly not just something that was arbitrary. It was a calculated, intentional, sinister thing that is solely supported by the feminine energy by virtue of what she does to uphold it. And sometimes there's a denial that's placed with that happening. But I think the important part, as you stated, for brothers to speak to each other, and one of the things that I've learned, and being also a part and being honored to be working with Queen of Four, and when she first put together the Male Heal Thyself book, and she invited me to help open it up with a forward and to support this process for men to now take responsibility for their own health and to be able to recognize the importance of what the health is going to do in order to maintain a healthy, sustainable relationship. However, it may come about. I heard those terms about men storing and where are you storing it at, and I was sitting there thinking, and it was interesting the way my aunt responded to it by saying that we're storing in the woman that we access, the wombs that are allowing us access more so. Those wombs that allow us access, that's where the storage is. And then it becomes part of the chemistry of the energy field and vibration of how women interact with men. And, and likely so, there's a tendency to always look at it from a negative standpoint or the shadow part of it. But there's also a positive to that too. There's a balance to that, where the relationships can be harmonious, it can be loving, it can be productive, it can be supportive, and it can also, be that which is necessary for the development and growth of our nation. So oftentimes we get the rap that, our relationships and our status is dysfunctional and we don't have no working relationships, and that becomes the narrative, which is not true. It's a misrepresentation of the balance. But what we get highlighted of is the dysfunction. What gets most of the platforms for the press is that negative. But even in the negative, there's a reasoning and there's a purpose for the negative to support what we know we are creating. And that's what we really want to get to. How are we creating? And one of the things that me and my aunt was speaking earlier, and she asked me, well, what is the best way to, approach the male energy, and how do we get them to recognize or to speak to where they are? And I say this, and maybe we can do that now instead of me going long. What I would ask the brothers or men, how do they define themselves in relationship to their mates, to the woman that they are involved with, or they're interacting with, or they're connected to? What is your perception of your relationship to your woman, or the woman that you're involved with, or the woman that you're interacting with, the woman that you're mating with, the woman that you have come to find to be your partner? What is your perception of that? How would you identify? Somebody would ask you, who are you, and what is your relationship to your feminine self? And that's a real open question, And then I would love to stay for the duration just to see how it unfolds, and to see exactly what those kind of responses are and what those perceptions are, because that's really going to be an important part of what one is looking at themselves relative to the mirror.
But Baba, I'd like for you to answer that question, because one of the reasons why I said that I really, really, and you can go on, we could talk about the spell on word, we can do, all kinds of things with you. Right. But in particular, the perception, one of the perceptions that the males have, or what this society says for the male, just in general, is to be in the protector, the financier. He's the one that watches over the families and head of the household and all of those things. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I'm attempting to understand. Yes, that's a role that can make sense if it's put into proper perspective. I think that is sometimes overblown into this patriarchal dominance where the woman is weak. She needs the support and she needs the protection of the man who's strong and who becomes the one that can really truly offset any invaders or those who would come and summarily take over the the village, you know, or the level. So therefore, that becomes something that we pride ourselves in saying that yes, I'm the one that's going to take and protect the family. Because why? I'm up against other suitors or other those who may come in and invade, and that has some semblance of truth to it. But it's sometimes overplayed to the degree that it puts women in a position where they don't have to protect the capacity to be able to maintain a sense of equilibrium with the decision making process in the home. So I said earlier that really the truth of the one who's the strong and the protector is the woman, because we couldn't get here without her protection. We couldn't get here without her nurturing us. And when we are our most vulnerable position with women is when we're coming through being germinated in her womb. Speaking of womb, right? So the womb is the most protective place and the most guarded fortress for us to be able to develop in the quietude and the protection in the dark of the womb. And I tell you, when it comes to strength, it's a myth that men, because of their testosterone or their level of muscular features, any woman can be as strong as any man can perceive to be. And you know this to be true because let a car fall on top of a child, or see if that woman can lift that car as fast as anybody else, because it's not really in the strength of the physical, it's in the strength of the energy of the protection. So I would say yes to your question. I answer it by saying, well, I really looked at the whole idea of what I experienced when I came up, and I always go back to my maternal and paternal experience. Always going back to how my parents functioned and what my role was in light of coming through my parents' chemistry, and then what they decided to do when they came together to have me. And they were married, and they had this intercourse, and the intercourse was something that was not necessarily a planned event. And my mother was at a point where she decided she wanted to do something different. She wanted no longer to be married to the house, right, or the housewife, and she was the trophy wife, stressed, beautiful, vivacious woman out of the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas to be exact. And my father coming down the lineage of Trinidadian and also Guyanese, paternal energy and maternal energy, because my grandmother on my paternal side was from Trinidad, and my grandfather was from Guyana. But I say that to say that with my initial incarnating, or when I was first, developing in the womb of my mother, I realized that it was a resistance to her wanting to do that because she no longer wanted to serve that role. And I, was in the context of my insistence based on what I felt my duty was to be when I was going to be called on the carpet on this particular plasma by two the two windmills here, so I had to make myself present for that to determine what I was going to be. But I really don't want to minimize, and I want to make light of what I'm saying. This is an important process of being in the conspiracy to get to this planet and who we choose to get here. But I realized that, I'm going to tell you something, for a long time, when my mother and father decided to divide the force, or as it's called, divorce, right? Right? When they divided the force, right? And I had to determine how this force was going to continue to be stabilized by me. I was always in a perpetual fear of this loss, or aware of this loss. I won't say it better like that, because when my mother and father got together, there was a resistance to having that happen, because she knew well that she had that intercourse on that particular conception day, as you talk about the sperm and the seed and what the information was in that seed, and my mother was resistant to that. So you can call it what you want based on some of the contemporary language. They call it marital rape or whatever the case may be. And I'll say that, in a way that doesn't want to put a scourge on it. But they were married and she resisted, yet he insisted, and I did too, clearly. And that, so I had something to do with that too. So I had to think about the consciousness of that relative to that, because at the point my mother was not willing to go further. She had already had 4 previous me, so she wanted to now, within the context of the society at the time, and this is around 66, 67. This is around the time 68 when the women's live movement and white women were vying for equal rights, and they were now vying for voting rights, and and the trickle down of that, the residue of that was sprinkling into other communities because it became a women's movement, but it was a white women's movement. It wasn't really, because remember, black women didn't get the right to vote when white women did. So that's that was a whole nother situation relative to what they were doing, because they had became rebellious to the fact that they no longer wanted to be housewives themselves. They wanted to be part of the the working force. My mother also thought that that's what she wanted to do. And so she was resisting having another intercourse that would lay to me. So she was attempting to get to her diaphragm, but she couldn't get to it. Okay, now this is a little more intimate details than probably you're asking for, but it's so significant to understand what's in the womb, right? This is what we talk about, right? And this is all part of what happens in the womb. Now, what's in the womb now is a resistance to developing what had happened. So there I am developing in the womb. And in that womb, I'm getting these messages and stuff that my mother didn't really want the experience. It wasn't that she didn't want me. See, I want to make sure we're clear about what it was saying. She didn't want to go to another period where she was developing another child, because she was already on her way out. She already thought that she had done what she thought was enough, what she had previously for. And then when I became president, it was a struggle for her to go through the motions. But back then, it wasn't common for women to terminate pregnancies. That was very unpopular, and it definitely wasn't something that was, if you will, even legal at the time. So there was a lot of ways that they were doing it, that was just, tragic for any child to be terminated, whether they be in the alleyway with a hanger or whatever else method that they did. But I was able to come through. But in that coming through, there was a toxicity in there, because obviously it was a very well, I'll say it again. It was a toxic experience to be there. So much so that I had to get out of there in 7 months. I couldn't even go 9 months with that. So I chose to do 7 months and got out. And then I was going to take the chance of having to, on my own, develop the 2 months of my lungs that needs to be developed for the fullness of me. So therefore, I already said I seal the store of death, right? So I'm coming through. I had to come through as the world bridger, right? This is probably for language people don't understand. We're talking about omega mind cosmology and talking about understanding that level of information, that I took the risk of coming out earlier, because remember the incarnating entity or the baby is making a decision about when it's time, to break the water, and the water breaks. It's not the mother knows better, because she knows that if she can get rid of it in 3 months, she would, because she didn't want to carry. Sometimes it's just too much to carry, and she would say, "Oh, what's the baby come on?" Right? That's one of the cries. "Oh, what's this baby come on?" And it's such. But now with me, I determined that I had to get out of there because it was so toxic, and this is what premature births really are for the most part. So I came in 7 months. So therefore, this whole story about 7, I can go to, and then. When I was birthed, I had to go two more months, or in terms of the 260, I had to stay a few more and work through that. By the time I got to, when I was 6 or 7, I was very much a mama's boy. I was anywhere she went, I was there. I was a third leg, right? And I would always be holding on and clinging, because I knew that she had an exit plan. So I knew because why? Because she communicated that while she was carrying me. Everything that was taking place, I was aware of because I was aware of her mind. Her mind was pretty much, very much the concentration of what she was thinking, what she was drinking, what she was consuming. All that crosses over the placenta, and all that goes into the womb of the mother, and that environment is fully enriched with the DNA of information around what she wants to do. So I was sitting in there knowing that she had an exit plan. I knew that it wasn't going to long. It was so I was tempted to see how long I can hold on to this particular vibration because I knew that I was going to be on my own after 7. And this is me retrospect, right? Retrospect. So everywhere I went, I was there with her. Every time she went, every room she went to, how it was clinging. When she was in the bathroom, when she started going to work, I was there watching her. All the whole night. And my father was concerned at the time, and this is part of the sexuality piece and the machismo of men. When you talk about what men think and how they feel about their protectiveness and what we want to have when we have male children, it's about the sexuality. So my father was concerned because of my clinging to her so much. He had this fear or concern that I might become homosexual, right? Because he was saying, he said, so he told me that you better not be no, the term we used at the time was FAGGOT. And I was like, I didn't know what that was, but mind you see these books behind me, the things that you learn, when I learned about reading and learning about words, it was really truly my comfort. I want to make sure we're clear about how this story unfolds, because when she determined that they were no longer going to be together, and it was very rocky. It was became tumultuous, became abusive, and they divided the force at 7. This is the second 7 years. So now everything subsequent to that was 7s, 6 to 7 years, right? So, and lo and behold, when she left, the only comfort I could find is the comfort in books. And so therefore, as you see behind me, all that is because it's part of what gave me the comfort I needed to work through what she left me for. But mind you, when they divided the divorce, or when they left, he became the primary parent. And him becoming the primary parent, I began to watch him function, and he functioned without the assistance of a female, because my mother was doing everything. And she was like, she's emotional. She was cooking. She was cleaning. We lived in a deluxe apartment in the sky. Talking about good times. We lived in a deluxe apartment in the sky. It was in Brooklyn, Tilden houses. They had just built those projects. I got there as soon as I was born, after 60, and it was just a luxurious apartment. You couldn't, the whole living room. You couldn't go into the museum. You couldn't sit on the furniture. None of that. All that was the drapes. The hi-fi and everything. And it was a beautiful place, a beautiful, warm place. And of course, when she left, that no longer was consistent, because I had sisters too, but they were not able to carry on what she carried on. But my father, for a long time, and I'm truncated now by saying that in my observation of my father was my training, more so than him instructing me. So I watched him, and in her absence, he wanted to prove, or he shown that he was able to do everything she was doing, except for the emotional piece. So, because he wasn't doing the love, he come in, you know how you get the bosom of the mother. Men don't have the capacity to do it to that extent, but they can be loving, but they can't be the loving that comes with the chemistry of the mother. So, me watching him for so long time, I was able to watch him do anything without the assistance of a woman. So my consciousness, this is probably the moral of my story. My consciousness was that I learned to do everything that perceivably was a woman was supposed to do, which is cook, clean, iron, all the things that are stereotyped to women, right? The nurturing, braiding of the hair. I watched my father braid my sister's hair. He did all that in the absence of my mother being there. So of course, there's some other little intricacies there. We had aunts, on both sides of the family that came to support us in the absence of that. Because I want to say that two brothers from Trinidad married two sisters from St. Thomas. So we had this crossover thing happening where we were always one small village anyway. And lo and behold, that's where my perception of women became. This is part to your question more directly. That's when I began to see when I was able to start interacting, relating with women, I had the attitude that I didn't really need them. And then I also had the attitude that they were going to abandon, or they were going to, I would, no longer be there. So I didn't never really, I never trusted. I was, I had a lot of anger at the time. I was young. So I was really, but I wasn't really overtly just angry. I just knew that I was protective of what I thought was the major loss that I already experienced. So with women, I would always be in a way that I would be able to do everything. And women would feel, sometimes they would feel useless because they would say, well, what can I do? I said, well, I mean, everything that you can do, I can do. I can I can sew my own clothes, I can iron my own clothes, I can cook, I can do everything that can be done. I was able to show, I was initiated at that time as rite of passage that I can do everything that seemingly or assumingly or stereotypically women are designed to do. So that's why I became this independent individual who couldn't stabilize myself and never really wanted to be stable. But I was always the best pick or the best catch because I was always willing to give more than I was receiving. And I'll stop there. I don't know if I answered the question, but I went a long way to come back to what I wanted to say in terms of the perception of what I represent relative to my mother. That's why I said earlier, what is your perception of your mother and father? What was your perception of the father's role? And what is your father's role relative to you? And how do you see yourself as a masculine energy when it comes to your interaction with women? And how is that influenced by your experience of what you observed or didn't observe or didn't have access to? Does that make sense? I don't know. I think you're on mute, yeah.
You're muted, High Priestess.
I got it. Okay. I was asking if it was okay for me to go ahead and comment on that because I think that is a great representation of the whole thing that we're talking about what's in your womb. And one of the questions that was asked is, where does the male store the energy from the womb in the woman? Okay. And from your experience was a prime example of how that happened. And then all the way into how you perceive the women, because of how that exchange happened between your parents and you picking up that energy in the womb, and then you coming out and being a male that's very eligible and whatever, but you could do everything a woman could do because that was the energy that you received, that's what you saw. And so this is what happens. And then we get into, when we were talking about how we go into these energetic cycles, this is what happens. And so if we just change our perception, and we're focusing on the men tonight. So if we change our perception about who we are and we see how important and how sacred the seed is that goes into the female avatar, whether it is being used to create a life force or not, but you see how potent it can be and how it literally transforms a universe. And when a being comes through that, then we wonder why we have, these problems, because you very easily could have had a lot of issues with women, coming up. You could have been just really had disdain and resentment for women, and especially because you can do what we did.
But let me say to you, I want you to continue on that line because that's what you're doing. You're undergirding what I'm saying. But the truth is, that's part of what my resistance to being humble enough to allow them to take care of me, because I didn't trust that they would be there.
Wow.
So you see what I'm saying? So therefore I knew, so potentially there was always this question of whether or not I'll be abandoned. So now, I could talk about it because I've had very successful relationships where I, spawned children by different women and very loving relationships. And I never was malicious. I never was doing that because I was a player or nothing like that. I ain't had that kind of proclivity. What I was doing, I was actually able to, because remember, I brought a wealth of what stabilization was. I was always very much into knowledge itself. So I always had knowledge to be able to nurture something that most men probably at that time or more were not really astute with. So therefore, I didn't come with I can buy you things. I can, I can say, I could, no, I came with I gave them something they couldn't give back, or I couldn't take back. See, and that's really where I got my sense of loyalty from that, and through that I was able to navigate the minefield of what could have been disastrous if I was sitting in the chemistry of anger and resentment. It could have been a whole total different thing, because I could have been. But my father, mind you, I had the experience of a father being responsible and taking care of his children. At the same time, I had the mother who was loving and nurturing. Now, mind you, I wasn't blaming her or blaming him. I had my moments where I was trying to figure out how the balance is going to take its place so I can be stable. So that's when I began to develop to know that I had to find this tug of war that's going on. This is what I talk about when I say make peace with your parents as yourself, because you are your parents together forever. So they divorced outside based on their external reasoning. I had to determine how I was going to make them get along as me. So it came to me early on that I had to be careful what my perception was of my mother or my father, because I was talking to myself. And if I thought that, and mind you, I had my moments. Now, I'm not trying to say this. I'm not giving you a kumbaya story where I was already able to show and prove. No, I had to grow into that. I had to grow into knowing, because I was really very angry and very much, disappointed and felt abandoned. And I was and it was difficult because children are cruel. Children are cruel. So coming up in a neighborhood in Brownsville, Brooklyn, where it was unpopular for a woman not to be with her children and still be alive. So that was really, so therefore in the community I lived in, the majority of the landscape was men who were absent and women who were there in the home taking care of their children. So most of all my friends had their mothers but didn't have their fathers.
Right.
And I was the only one that had my father but didn't have my mother. And the question would always be, is she alive? They wouldn't say she's somewhere else or she left. Or like men get to leave and do what they want to do. They was like, how is the mother not there if she's not dead? And it was points in time when my father used to identify her as being dead because he was so angry, because he had control issues. So when I was young, that was, and my siblings, we had to deal with that type of energy field where we had to determine how do we feel a sense that our mother, who's wherever she wasn't with us, and we see her often. We seen her not frequently, but we see her every now and again. But also when she came, it was tumultuous, right? It was very, So, but mind you, now my mother, and this is to tell you how loving women are, beyond what you see before you, because my mother never, ever spoke evil of my father, and vice versa. My father had his moments when he was speaking with adults, but he never said anything to us. But see, and this is really what really took place, because when we started to grow older and become independent, we began to start establishing relationships with my mother, who was self-aware. But there's a whole lot more to that story, and I can't go into it because we can talk all day. But I'm saying to you that the crust of it, though, like I want to say to you, is that the ideal around what we feel a perfect family is really our perception more than a reality. Because we say that man and woman should be in the house. Yeah, that's an idealism that we float around. But the truth of the matter is, it may not be emotionally safe or emotionally healthy or mentally healthy or physically healthy if the man or the woman is not able to be a nurturing parent. Because you can have an abusive father who's present and have both of them together, and they just abuse them each other. So sometimes the circumstances call for what may be the best interest is to have that separation happen. Because sometimes, the maturity of the two don't have it where they can maintain a sense of poise when they are at each other like so, right? So that part of what I recognize when I begin to develop and grow, I begin to now see that my father took over from what he thought I was going to be, and his image, I begin to get the balance of me becoming testosterone and understanding my masculinity. When I was early on, I was just a mama's boy running behind her, seeming like I was, too soft, for what he thought may have happened, right? So lo and behold, the universe took care of detail, but I knew this is a careful thing. I knew it was going to happen. That's why I was so He didn't recognize that I knew, because this is the whole thing I talk about men. You don't know what's going on unless it comes out and you develop it. We know what's going on with our mother because we knew what her plan was, because I was in the meeting room when
Right.
she was thinking about. So I was there. You said, "What's in your womb?" Right? All the information, data about her cutting out and not being there and wanting to go and had enough. I got all that early on with data imprints based on her chemistry and her thoughts and her feelings and her sense of wanting to be liberated.
I'll say.
So
That's it. That's it. That's perfect. Perfect example.
So I'm not still on. Yeah, so that's part of what I'm saying. That the yeah, I don't know if you want to you want to interject or I know you're being a gracious hostess, right?
He'll take over my kid. You gonna have to, yeah, you gonna have to be like somebody else.
Yeah, let me.
I know, but Barbara, I get so engulfed in education information. It's like, okay, my kid, you hosting, you're not in class. So, but thank you. It's enlightening. It's absolutely a automation, and really have to, when Baba is speaking, you have to listen, because there are lots of jewels in there that he is dropping. And the most important thing that I know that I heard, and I want you to, I know probably asked you to reiterate, but really, for the men to hear this and understand what you were talking about as far as being able to recognize it, because you are able to speak about those wounds and speak about those hurts. But what did it take for you to get to the recognize that they were wounds and it was something that you do inwardly?
Is that a question for me? Was that a question for me?
That is a question for you as a man who to it, but I also is to address it, because again, we're talking about what are the men able to do based on what you heard him speak, dealing with in his process. I want both of your inputs on that.
Yeah, I yield to my aunt first, and if there any other men or brothers on the line, because the question was posed, as my aunt was saying, for men to determine. And I asked the question, what is your perception of yourself in relationship to your woman, to your mother, to your mother and to your woman and to your mate, and how do you see yourself in relationship to your mate? What role do you think you're playing? Not what role you think you should play, but what role do you play as it relates to your woman? And is it based on what is it based on? Based on what perception? That was the question I was asking for other men to chime in, because I don't want to monopolize the whole conversation with my story.
And I agree. I would.
Okay, high priestess.
Oh, okay. Well, I was. I do have a just that comment. A comment on that, in that that it that when we first asked that original question, where is this information stored? Where does a man store his wound, or where is his womb? Is in the woman that he is accessing. And Baba just broke that down of how that whole process happens from inception to literally birthing a being who, like he said, he was in the meeting room in the womb. He knew what was going to happen. He knew what was going to go down. And, it's just a perfect answer, and from beginning to end. And then also being able to transform that and become aware of how that was operating within him, and being able to transform that into what in being a male who is able to have that balance. One of the things that we had talked about is a male literally having the balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Now, you would think that someone who came from Bible's background would not be able to do that, because there would be the anger and the resentment or whatever. And he realized that this was the position he was in, and he was able to literally bring in the balance. And so he has the divine masculine. You know, there's no loss of testosterone. We know his father was worried about that. Okay. And then also bringing in the nurturing energy of the mother. And you would think, with the mother not being present, he wouldn't be able to have that. So any of the males out there who are having these issues, who are saying, you know, well, the sisters are like this, and my mother was like this, and my father was like this, and, you know, having all of these isms against us. And we'll go back and we're gonna talk about the women too, but tonight the focus is on the men. Okay, so we're not here just talking about the shadow energy, because Baba just represented how to come out of the shadow of this and bring forth the full balance of Ma'at through a situation that was not the most pleasant. You know, that's not something that a lot of us are able to come through and then bring in balance. So I'd like to say that about that.
Okay. Okay. I was just checking for questions in the chat. So I do want everybody to know, yeah, this is live. So ask your questions. High Priestess is here. We know we have some men on. So ask your questions now. This is a good time to really come in and try to figure out exactly what it is that we all need to do. But specifically, we are talking about the men, because as she spoke about, there's a deposit that's being made, and the men are making that deposit. So, High Priestess, in that, I have a question that came up about whose responsibility is it? Whose responsibility is it? Is it the man's responsibility? Is it the woman's responsibility?
Responsibility for what? The energy that is exchanged?
So while you were talking about the deposits being made, the question came in about who's responsible? The receiver, the person receiving the energy, who is responsible for the healing? So I know, and when I think about that question, for me personally, I think as a woman, we always take on this, we are the healers. We have to do the work. We have to be the ones to do all the work. And we have the magic. So we're the ones that have to do the healing. So I'm thinking, is it my responsibility to get healed and then lead or guide or help him? Or is it his responsibility, or is it a shared responsibility? Whose responsibility is it?
I say it's both. Okay, I say that we have you know, scientifically, as a being, we have 23 chromosomes that come from our mothers and 23 that come from our fathers. So it's a joint responsibility. Now let's talk about what happens. Okay, sometimes and I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you read the chat. I got to focus. Okay, all right. So sometimes when we're unaware, we're in a union and there's one partner or one partner who is more aware than the other. Okay, so if you have that awareness, yes, it absolutely is your responsibility to do what you need to do to heal and do the best that you can. Okay, to help the other partner come along. And sometimes it's the woman and sometimes it's the male. I know plenty of males, plenty of men who have this knowledge of self, and not just knowledge of self as a male, but also knowledge of self as a woman. Mo- uh, let's break it down. I was catalyzed. I'll say the my first entry point even into this knowledge was through a male who at the time had more information than I did. I was clear, deer in headlights. Okay. And so it was a male who came and brought me to awareness and put my attention on, hey, listen, you know what I'm saying? Do you know who you are? Do you know what, we talking, you know how you say you talking, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just trying to holler at you. I'm hollering at you because you represent the divine feminine. I didn't know what no divine feminine was. I'm coming out of Christianity, okay? And I'm not, anyway, I ain't gonna even talk about. I'm coming out of Christianity. That sounds like the devil to me. Divine feminine. Oh shoot, that's the devil. That's Satan. You know, what I'm saying? We couldn't believe in that. And so he literally brought me knowledge of self. So he was literally the catalyst. I had no clue. Now, once I got it, now let's just talk about that process. Okay, he catalyzed, he brought in the information. He knew who he was and brought in that information, deposited into the universe. The universe turned around and said, "Oh my God, let's wake up." And when I woke up, okay, we don't need to go down the story. I'm still woke, okay, on some next stuff. I began to perform the role and the responsibility of bringing in the matter, realizing I have a universe, a uterus, okay, and in that universe and in that uterus, what do? We create. And you know what? Here I go. You know how it is when I get when I get excited. I'm about to start cussing. Okay.
It's almost after 9 o'clock. You might be okay.
Okay. But when we put stuff into the universe, what do as creators? We create ish. Okay. And so it just started developing. I started putting matter and matters together and it materialized. And so, we have to look at these roles. And a lot of times it's the male who provides that role, even down to the information that we're talking about today. I was catalyzed. Okay. I was seeded a lot of this information, especially with Unwounded, that came between two males, Babwani and also Neb Taharka. Okay, they started seeding in the information, and then boom. Okay, then the creation came, and so we have these roles. And so when we recognize, see, because sometimes we resist and we don't like, oh no, you're not my daddy, you can't tell me nothing, right? All right. And sometimes it's like that with when you have a male who has this knowledge of self and is telling the female, or providing this, trying to catalyze that into the womb that he's accessing, she may be a little resistant. And then sometimes it's the other way around. You have the female who recognizes who she is, and she's trying to get him to catalyze a little bit more, because if she had a little charge up from that seed, because he's giving it up, she's trying to get him to give it up. Okay, so then she can create more. All right, so it works both ways. It's both of us who have to go into this healing process. So that was a long way around that answer, but I started getting excited. Okay.
It creates the balance. It absolutely. And Barbara?
No, no, I was going to listen to it creates the balance. I want you to continue that because I think it's an important
Oh,
it's an important to really glean some of the things that come out of anger and hurt to healing and transformation because we've been trained to always be at war, right? Always be at effect. You know, we don't think that we are ever at cause. We don't take responsibility for what we create. So much so that we put ourselves, you know, at a disadvantage because we're always thinking that we are at effect, that we're not responsible for the things that we're creating. So within that context, everything we do is victim laced and laden. So therefore, when we know, then therefore, there's no way you could be able to have, um, there's no way you can be able to have uh, any sense of leverage if you're always the victim. You know, if you don't understand, if you don't want the responsibility for being the creator, then you got to find yourself being at the mercy of the creation. You see, I always say, you know, the creator created us and we create everything else, right? So everything else that's going on is based on how we want the narrative to go. And of course, free will. Your wish is thy command. So there's nothing that we experience that we're not able to take full responsibility for and be able to say that we're responsible for doing it. So that's the whole thing about being responsible, able to respond. And most of us are not able to respond because we've been taught not to respond. We were taught to react, right? You know, react emotionally, right? So we can be able to now find the fervor in that emotion. And that's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to say to that.
okay. So that actually that's good because that rolls into a question, High Priestess. And it relates to what you both just spoke about. The both people, both parties taking responsibility, creating that balance of it's the individual who has to own their own stuff without another technical word for it. So one of the questions was in order for women to change the her dynamic of the men that she's attracting, what does the woman need to do within and without? So again, I want to go back because tonight we're talking about the wounds of the men. What is it? What is it that causes, even in this type of forum, High Priestess, what would you say is the thing that causes women to own it so much? Like, why are we in that position of, after all of this we're hearing that, it's individual trauma. Baba gave a great um, testimony and sharing about his own personal experiences and what it caused him to do. So it wasn't anything any of the women were doing. So what is it? Like, how do we stop owning that?
So it comes with a decision. I love that question. And it comes with the decision. Yes, we are the carriers. Okay, so we are the ones, we have the active universe, the active uterus and the active universe and the active womb. Okay, and so we carry this whatever is put into it. And by um, what we have been told about our roles. See, we feel like we're giving it up. Okay, so what do men always say? I'm gonna get some. Okay, I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna hit this honey, I'm gonna get some. Okay, or even if they with their own woman, they think that they're getting some. And we believe that we are the ones that are giving it up. We don't look at ourselves as allowing him in, okay, or being receptive or receiving, and he's giving it up. So if we change our perception, then we won't carry as much. All right, we look at ourselves as, okay, this is what we have allowed into our space. Now what do we want to do with this? Okay, do we want to, because if you have the space to allow it, you also have the space to transmute it. Okay, because it's being given to you. If somebody give you something, you can either, they give you a present, they give you a gift, you can either put it on, wear it, or whatever, or do something else with it. You can discard it if you want to. You're not just sitting here, as Baba was talking about, being a victim of he don't love me no more, or he won't call me, he don't read my text message, all of these things that we're feeling. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. We have to change this around and look at yourself a little differently as the woman, and then also as the male. Okay, look at yourself as giving it up. And what are you giving? You're giving up your sacredness.
Right.
Okay, you are giving up
Absolutely.
your sacred life force to a woman. Is this the woman you want to give it to? Really? Just because she got a big booty? You know what I'm saying? That's what you want to do? Okay, and then as the woman with the big booties, you know what I'm saying? Is this what we want to allow into us? Because now you have to do, you're not a receptacle. All right, and you just sit there and you just store all of the toxicity. If you can, you all you gotta do is take the trash out. Okay, if you need to. But we don't have to continue to store it, but we think we're giving it up. So that is why, and he's walking away with us. It's the other way around. And so change the perception. That's what I would say to that question.
Okay. I love that.
I think
That's awesome. So
can we
I
also let that be said that we talk about what's being stored and what's happening and how creation is happening, because when we talk about what's in the womb, I think that my kid, you were asking the question, well, where's the man's womb? Where's he storing his at? And everything is based on, because remember that the prostate and the uterus are interchangeably the same. They're the same organ, if you will, and they serve the same purpose, if you will. So therefore, when we talk about all thought is chemistry, and chemistry is created and formulated through what we perceive and conceive and also deceive. Everything that we're doing is based on that level of what's stored and what is put into the seed. The seed is now germinating into the womb of the mother. The mother is now nurturing that. She has an opportunity now. She can offset and she can shift and change and alter that seed to grow what she desires by what she cultivates and nurtures to be. This is why she has last dibs. So it's like, it's one thing to have the man deliver that seed to the earth. The earth decides if it's going to nurture it, if it's going to cultivate it, or if it's going to allow it to have a harvest that will be a great harvest, a nutritional harvest, or a harvest that's not, that does not have the same effect. Or it could be a GMO, right? A GMO harvest, right? So the same thing is based on what the woman decides to do, because she has the last opportunity to do with it what she will. And I'm not saying that as a level of projection or blame, but because that's the gift that she has from what he takes out of his womb to put into her womb is going to determine the fertility of her soul, what she's going to do, and what kind of fertilizer is being used, and what's the cultivation of it, what's the season of it, and that kind of thing. And then it manifests itself, and the word man is important. It manifests itself or is materialized based on the mother's nurturing. This is what we talk about when we say the immaculate concept. This is the whole Mary theory, right? When we talk about what Mary has done to give birth to such as one as the Yeshua or Jesus or whatever they call it relative to the religious connotation, is that she was able to make something out of nothing and by protecting it, nurturing it, harvesting it the way that she did, she was able to create this powerful being that divided time, right? In theory, right? And he was able to do some miraculous things, turn water to wine. He was like but he didn't do that on his own strength. He did that because of what the mother Mary nurtured him to be and what she cultivated him to be. Without her, he would not be. He would be a non-item, right? So, but then this idea that God gave, was the one that impregnated her. Yeah, the God of what? The level of that galactic oasis, divinity that gave her the opportunity to make that what she wanted it to be. This is the same principle when we say, Mom, ain't nothing to eat. Go sit down somewhere. There's plenty to eat. And before you know it, you smelling stuff coming out of the kitchen that you never thought even existed in the cupboard, because mothers do the magic of making what? Something out of nothing. So the chemistry that comes from the male is one thing, but what is nurtured and developed will be the last one who has the opportunity to make it what it should be is the mother. And I tell this quick joke. Let me tell you a quick joke that um, Bill Cosby told this joke, and say what you will about Bill Cosby based on whatever the determination of his own journey. But there was one joke that he said that really stuck with me, made sense based on my own work. When he made this statement, when he was telling, he was a storyteller. He likes to tell stories about his family, his children, his wife, Camille. And he told this one joke that says that, he's out doing what he's doing, working hard all day, whatever, and she's home with the children, right? So when he walks in the door, he comes home, he walks in the door, and he wants to see his wife. His wife's giving him this look of death, like, because she had a day with these children, and she described them as monsters, and she was just saying, "You gave me these monsters, and she was just totally at her wit's end, right? And she kept saying that this is what you gave me, right? Because obviously, again, we're talking about with the man, the seed, right, planted. So he comes back ahead and says, "I gave it to you, but you had them last." What did you do with that when I gave it to you? So that was the way of him offsetting his responsibility per se. But he was telling her that she had the ultimate determination as to what they were going to be shaped and molded into, because she had them last. She had the last dibs on what they were going to develop. She had the private, mind you, now this is important, exclusive, private 9 months of interactivity with this particular incoming entity where he had no access. I mean, it's cute. He watched it, look, oh, he's kicking, look, oh, she's kicking, oh, he can watch it go, he can put his hands in here and hear the heart, all that. But the internal dialogue and the conversation and the contractual agreements and all that was taking place, the mother was responsible for doing that. This makes her so significant and so phenomenal of the power of the woman, because she's going to determine what's going to be that of the nation. Now, when it does take place and she gets she excavated from her womb and she puts it out into the entity and she severs it from being dependent on her directly, then now the father, as it were, takes it further. He's fattened her, right? And now he takes it further. But the mother is always more there. That's what the word mother implies. There's always more there, right? That's a whole immaculate concept. There's always more there. The father, he takes it further along to stabilize it, to protect it in the sense where we talk protecting it. He makes sure that it's, has the protection. But in the 9 months is the most vulnerable state, is when the mother decides what the child's going to be or not be. That's my spirit.
So, I had to have some fun with this word. There's more there. And the father will
I think my kid is freezing.
Is there a delay?
That is on mine.
I want to check really quick. Is there a delay on mine?
Yes.
Bear with me one moment. Is there still a delay?
I don't think so now.
I got it. Okay. Great. All right, that was awesome. Yeah, we used to play with Bob. More there and father. So it did take me, that brought me to another question for you, High Priestess, and it brings us to your book, because you are giving a class and we're not doing that tonight. We want people to get the juice and eat. That's That's him. That's Baba giving the class. But no, we really want you to get this information. She goes into great detail about the wound and the power of the wound and what's in there and the different the process. And I know this from being in her classes. I am telling you, cracked open this book because I'm interviewing her, but my desire to know what she had to say more than what she had to write was very important to me personally. So I'm gonna speak to her classes. She has some amazing classes that we want all to visit um, her website and be able to for. But follow her on Instagram at Womb Evolution. Some of you are on there. So for some of you who are on Facebook checking this out or on YouTube, we want to make sure that you follow her. Because this information that you are getting on this live tonight, I want to give a nugget away. We have a couple of more testimonials from some brothers who have been a part of her classes and have had opportunity to be a part of what she's done. I don't want to miss taking a moment to thank Baba for his time because I know at any moment he could be whisked away from us. So I don't want to not take a moment and thank him for his time and being here on the platform and speaking and just sharing all of his knowledge and coming to support our priestess as speaks as a man who understands what's in his womb. So thank you again, Baba, for your time. And I want to share clip from another one of brothers that asked the question,
I assume
what's in
that the
your womb?
classes, the womb evolution and divine feminine, were women courses, just because I assume from the name. And come to find out, I've met men that have taken this class and they vow to continue to take it. And I must admit that I have been sucked into a lot of the conversations were very interesting. Conversations men normally don't have with women, but due to the balance of the class, I've met men in the class who said that these classes soar far over college courses that they've been in. I'm anxious for the classes to start back. I want to make this a part of my discovery of higher self. Ashe.
So your thoughts, High Priestess?
I mean, you know, I'm honored that this is what the men are receiving from these courses and from the webinars that we do. I'm honored because I think this is especially, let me just go here. Our mission at Mimic, Melanated Immortals Making Evolutionary Changes, is to shift the global consciousness of the melanin dominant population. Okay. And so, with that, one of the biggest challenges is in doing that is unity and unity amongst men and women, melanin dominant men and women. That is a tremendous ism, okay, that we have. And the fact that the brothers are coming forward and they are feeling this information. They are not feeling as if they are being demeaned or belittled, or we're feminists, and or we are not. The women are not feeling that this is a patriarchal thing or whatever. We are now establishing this balance of my. I just is absolutely just mind blowing, and you know, I'm just honored that this is what is coming through. This is part of the vision. And so I'm very thrilled to see it.
Ashe, and it looks like we absolutely have some of your supporters in the chat. I had some people saying they are reading your book for the second time around. So
Oh,
they're getting a double dose. They are reading it for a second time. So I just want to kind of speak to something that the gentleman said. People who follow me know who that gentleman was. But anyway, the monkey, the chewing 131, and what he spoke to as far as this being something that is for men. When we walk in a store and we see what your wound or unwounded, what's gonna make the man pick your book? What's gonna make the brother? What's in there? What are some nuggets that you could possibly
mm.
give that's gonna make him want this book?
Well, I mean, I don't want to sound like, it's just the whole book. Now, let me say, I'm just saying, it's kind of dope. If I must say so myself, it's kind of dope. we're really the work, okay? The the analysis, okay, like, so for example, in Unwounded, one of the first things I do is put out who we really are. Like, when I'm talking about changing our mindset about who we are and what we came here for, I put that first. Okay, not that we got problems and we got issues and we got this and we got, all of our isms. I don't put all our laundry out first. I put in this, that we are the divine union, okay, the universal universe and the divine feminine, all of that first. Okay, now, and then I ask the question of, how do we get there? What's stopping us? What are the obstacles? Okay, and then we break down the obstacles, and then we talk about solutions. And so, and it's all kind of brought through. There are exercises, particularly in the What's in Your Womb book. There are lots and lots of exercises where you go through and you analyze those things, okay, so that you can, for not just for the purpose of analyzing them, so you can get rid of them and move on to the next level. You literally get to design your deity. Okay, and if you have no idea of what that looks like, we even give examples from we give examples from the Bible, from the Quran. We give examples from the Neteru, the Orisha. Okay, so you can kind of you can look at those and kind of determine what it is that how you look, or how you are going to become the divine feminine, and what form that looks like. So there are, so that's just a little bit, that's just a little something about what's in those books that are leading um, the men through feeling this way, because it's there are nuggets in there. It says what's in your womb, it says unwounded, but there's so much for everybody. Like, you will go through there, and yeah, you'll see, specific things about the womb, but you will see specific things about us as beings in there, as divine entities, and how we shift through these isms that we have. So um that's my own book promo. If I had to do one.
Okay, thank you. That's what's up. Because it's important. I know when we're talking about what's in the womb, people instantly go to thinking about this is something about women. So I want to keep reiterating that this was really a conversation for the men. And we want the men to understand that, yeah, there's information out here for us all. It creates balance. And it's not by accident that the woman who wrote a book that would speak to that, name is Ma'at, which speaks to balance. creating balance. So we um, we absolutely want to make sure that you get this information in your hand, book in your hand. There are a few ways that the people can get this book, and I'm going to share it. But you are in a few places that they can hear you speak more about this topic. I know one place that they can hear you speak, they can absolutely get your book as well. You want to speak on that a little bit?
Okay, so one is
Revs?
melanated. Oh, is it? I think there's a delay again. Okay, so one of the places is melanatedimmortals.com. Okay, and that is where we host our classes. That is our consortium. And you will find many things you want more information about Baba Wani. It's there. Also, another individual that I mentioned, Neb Taharka, we are the master teachers on that platform, along with Dr. Cindy Court. And you will find a lot of information there, and particularly some of the um, the information of how you can come to understand who you are and your incarnation, and be able to hold your frequency into who you are becoming. And so in particular, that is the Olmec cosmology that we use to, that is like the backdrop for those courses. Also, as a part of Mimic, we're talking about the melanin frequency. The melanin frequency is a 52-week energy vigil that we began on the fall equinox of 2019. And what we did is, for 52 weeks, we literally put out a transmission for the betterment of melanin dominant people worldwide. Why are we doing this? Because we are priesthood. And what we have seen is that you have a group, you got Tibetan monks, you got Buddhist monks, and they pray all day long for world peace and health, and food for all, and water, and clean water and things like that. And so what we determined is, like, we need something like that specifically for the melanin dominant population, because around the world we are still seeing people being enslaved. We are seeing our people being dragged out of places, blocked into going in their buildings. And we got the Karens, and we got, it's more than now just the police doing that. These are everyday people who think that they have the rights to our life force. And so we are saying, no, you don't. We have the rights to our life force. And so we're going to put out a frequency that determines our own legacy. All right, so we're nobody's victims here. All right, so that's the melanin frequency. And then, of course, our the womb evolution technique. And we do the womb evolution site. If you go there, wombevolution.com, it is being upgraded. It's going to be awesome. I have the opportunity. I'm like, oh, can we put it up tonight? And it doesn't have all the tweaks in it that we need, but it's going to be awesome. So just keep that in mind. If you are interested, though, in being a part of our email list, you can hit us at admin at melanatedimmortals.com, and we'll make sure that we get your information. We'll add you to our email list so you can be aware of what we're doing. And if you're interested in the books, I know we have links and stuff like that. So I think those are all the platforms that I can think of where I can be reached.
Yes, and you actually spoke about, you mentioned, I wanted to make sure people were able to get on those platforms, and go ahead and get your book now, because there are a couple of things that you need to know. She is offering to do some personally autographed books. You can get both of her books right now. 2 books for $25. Find those books to you for you. But it will take about 4 to 6 weeks to get those books. So we want you to go ahead and order that book right now. Go ahead, take a few minutes, go order the book right now. Wait. Okay, no, we're not. But go order the book. Like seriously, go order the book. We're gonna put the information up here for you to be able to get the ebook if you want to have it tonight because you cannot wait. You like, I need my ebook. I'm going my signed copy for her. Then I need my ebook so I can go ahead and get started on this. Then you can go to one of these links and you can get What's in Your Womb and Unwounded, Unlocking the Universal Uterus.
I think they might need it in the chat. I see
I'm
some
gonna
people.
put it there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. On that, I think you have one other. Let's see. Yeah, one other guest that may have some insight to share. Let's see.
Greetings. I'm recording this video to articulate the power of the womb evolution technique, which sounds predominantly for women or the female avatar, the divine feminine, but it's also very instrumental in the power of the divine masculine because the masculine energy inputs intelligence, whether it be energetic or plasmatic at heart, into the female processes it and evolves it into something of greater power, which empowers both. And so this book and this technique is so instrumental to the evolution of the connection between the male and the female avatar. It is astronomical in terms of how this can advance the human species, especially the melanin dominant population.
How as the human species, especially the melanin dominant.
Right. So that was Baba Nev Taharka. And he definitely has some good insight to add to what you can get from this book. I am still, give me 1 second, y'all. I'm sorry, having some technical difficulties.
While you're doing that, may I speak on what he said?
Absolutely. You know, I yield the mic to you.
So, Nev Taharka is one of the males I was talking about who literally that process that he talked about as far as the male inputting the information, okay, and it didn't happen sexually, so let me let me put out that disclaimer, okay. So I don't want no phone calls, right? Don't nobody be calling me. All right, so let's be clear. But he is one of the males. I know it sounds, look, I thought about how it sounded. Yeah, he one of the males that was inputting information in me, right? Okay. So let's just be real clear. All right.
Making deposits.
We making deposits, right? Oh yeah, I just be like, oh, you know what? He look like he can make a deposit. He gonna have to give it up, right? Okay. So let me be clear. And when he was able to input that information, okay, along with Baba Wanik, and I'll say I have a close relationship with Neb Taharka. We literally go back and forth on how once it's deposited, once I get it, and like he said, evolve the information, and it comes back with that power that can be used for everyone. Okay, so we've really been able to use this science for that and been able to see that even in a relationship that is platonic, that is available. So imagine what happens if you are experiencing this with your mate. Okay, because it doesn't have to be, you can access a womb, okay, and in that type of agreement, and it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, it doesn't have to have that form for the information to be received and evolved into the next level. This is why we call it womb evolution. That's one of the reasons that we have, because of the interchange that he and I have had throughout the years of being able to do that. This is how we've come up with the platform of Mimic, of Melanated Immortals. Okay. And or how, well, let me say not how we came up with it, but the expansion of it and the develop what you see now, okay, has been a part of that play and that partnership that we have had, that interchange. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Awesome. So I want to make sure I got the link in the chats. And that is the link. That was the one. You remember High Priestess? They were saying it to get in
Yeah, that's the one to the ebooks.
ebooks. Yeah.
Some people were asking about physical books. Um,
I'll put that link in the chat
okay.
for everyone.
And just remember, it's
We
going to
had it.
take about 4 to 6 weeks because they take a long time. Once we're out of stock, it takes a while to receive the author copies. It's not like Amazon where you can just get it. You know, they'll say they'll have it delivered tomorrow. We literally have to. We actually we probably are out of stock as far as the physical copies. Um, so it will take about 4 to 6 weeks. So I just want to set that expectation because sometimes the expectation is that they're going to come like right away. But I will sign each and every one of them. I have no problem doing that, and they will be handled with care, and you will receive them. So
Thank you so much for that. I think, let's see, we did his, Baba came in, Baba snuck in on us. So, okay. I do have one closing question. I believe if there are no, I'm checking the chat, but I am making sure no other questions in the chat from anyone else. So this was asked, and I think that you addressed it, but to summarize this conversation for some people who may have gotten on late or just because there was so much information provided, I want everybody to know this was supposed to be a 45-minute live. This was going to be a fun. Yeah, we knew better than that, but it was good information. I think we still have quite a few people on from the start, and I'm just grateful to everyone who is still on, who stayed tuned in for this 2 hours. I do believe High Priestess gave some great information. She snuck in a special guest with her that we were not expecting. So that was a surprise to Holistic Wellness Worldwide as well. But we want, what I want you to do now, High Priestess, is tie it all together. I want you to tie it all together. So what's in your womb, from what's in your womb to unwounded for the men.
okay.
What yeah, bring it all together. For the men, women, you get to sit back and take this information and say, this is for my brother. This is for my husband. This is for my son. This is for my cousin, male friend. I'm going to take this information and really, like, I'm saying this on purpose because we are talking to the men, because we as women do take on a lot of responsibility. And I heard that in some of the things that Barbara was saying. It's a shared energy. And so we have to all take our own responsibility. And women, we're good at that. So let's talk to the brothers about how we can tie this all together. So, okay, High Priest, I am going to use the mic, tie it
Okay.
all together for us.
All right. So, yeah, the first thing that I would say about that is, one is to for the brothers to realize, one, that they are sacred as well. Again, we don't hear a lot about the men being sacred. You are sacred, and the information that you store in your loins, okay, the catalyst, the cosmic seed that you store is a sacred seed, and it can unite, it can expand the evolution of us. It can shift, it can help shift our legacies. Okay, so it's time to shift how we think about ourselves, how we think about who we are and what we're doing. We're not just getting into relationships. Okay, we are legacy holders. If you're already in a relationship, you probably already know that. So just that little shift in thinking about you being the one that's giving it up. Okay, and so when you think about you giving it up, it's like, oh, wait a minute now. Okay, hold on. You know what I'm saying? You want need to be covered up, like, oh shoot, you know what I'm saying? You can't see me like this, all right? You got to come with it. Okay, you have the sacred seed. And every time you engage the universe or the womb of a woman, look at it as if you are providing her with sacred information that you are going to see become an evolution that is going to be powerful and beneficial to you both every single time. Don't just go, I know it, we the bodies, this physical forms, they look good, and there's like this energy that comes out of it. Well, use it, but use all of it, not just part of it. You can take a minute. You pray over your food, right? You think that's sacred. What about you? How sacred is your seed? You're about to give, present something to someone. You're about to give her a gift of you. And so, how do you want that to be received and accepted and allowed? You have to think about it that way. And so that, this is how we shift. This is how we evolve and we change our legacy. This is the ultimate evolution. Okay, the ultimate. So I'm going to leave it there, unless there are any other questions.
Oh, wait. Okay. That was good. I think that was an amazing way to sum that up. Um, it is a shift in your consciousness, it's a shift in the way you think about what you are doing. Um, and what's happening in that process, because it is that mindset men don't realize. I think I saw an older gentleman one time, High Priestess, on YouTube. He was 96 years old, and that's what he said to the men. Like, you know why I'm 96 years old and I look as good as I do? He said, not running after, for lack of better words, boobs and butt. Like, I'm not running behind it. So if oh wait, okay, hold
You
on.
know
We had
what?
a
If that PayPal link is not working, they can just email me. I'll put it right here. Just email me and I'll make sure. And here we go. Because I know we got a lot of links. We got a whole bunch of links. uh,
Me
and
too.
yes, so they can do that
So
to
you
get
said the
the
power one is
signed
this
copy.
working? Okay. So, but yeah, I was just saying it's about what they were giving up. The gentleman spoke and said that, he looked the way he looked and he was able to get around because he was not giving up his life force. And he said it
Mm.
just like that. So this was out of the mouth of a man 90 something years old. So what High Priestess is saying to us is not, she's not joking. It's been proven. Men know, especially those that know. So you recognize what you're giving up and what it's doing to your body, and you make the decision. Um, what do you want to do? How do you want to affect the world going forward? So I'm just excited. I think this was amazing. High Priestess, I really do appreciate your time. I am grateful that I was able to do this with my kin twin. If there are any, I think there are no more questions. Wait. Hold up. A couple of questions in the chat. Okay. Oh, got it. The last one. So that was the email. If there are no more questions, we thank you again for your time. High Priestess, I absolutely adore you. Thank you so much for just giving me this opportunity just to sit with you and have this discussion and talk with the men and the women to talk about the men in their lives. So thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in with us again. If you want to get that signed copy of the book, email my aunt at wombevolution.com tonight. I am telling y'all, because this is just the beginning. We are about to do some book signings and she gonna be places. So we said 4 to 6 weeks. It's gonna take longer if you don't go ahead and order tonight. So go ahead and place your order tonight. Order a few for your friends. Order some for your male friends who were not able to attend. Go ahead and get you some of this information so we can start healing collectively. Um, again, follow her on Instagram at Womb Evolution and at Melanin Frequency and Melanated Immortals. We are everywhere, which we should be, as we should be. We are everywhere at once. So, my aunt, would you have any closing remarks?
It's definitely just been my honor and my pleasure. I get revved up, when we do these sessions. And so I'd like to thank you for inviting me here. I'm just so thrilled and so honored and just geeked. I'm over here geeked, like looking at my kin twin. I was like, ooh, that was me. Oh no, wait a minute, it's her. Oh, it's me. So,
Yesterday.
I know, right? That's my past. Oh, that's my music.
Yes,
Okay. Anyway,
Lord,
so
'cause we got a long way to go before. Yeah.
we just be acting silly. Okay. So I am very thankful, and I thank everyone. Again, this is what we do. This is the priesthood. Questions, comments, or whatever you have, the email address, you have the websites. Join us. Take some classes, take some time. Whatever you need. We are here to shift the global consciousness of the melanin dominant population. So, to that, I say, Ashe.
And thank you all so much. Thank you so much, Holistic Wellness Worldwide viewers and all of High Priestess Ma'at's followers and viewers. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. This will be available to share. So those that missed it, give it a share and see it later. So in Lakesh Alakan, love and light, peace and blessings, all of those great greetings that we give to each other and salutations when we leave. Again, High Priestess, thank you so much. And we will bid you all a good night.